2016 has come to an end, and now that 2017 has begun, our nation has a lot of issues for the new president, Donald Trump, to tackle. One issue, however, is more critical than the others, and I believe that if this one issue is addressed by President Trump and legislature, it'll help our country solve even more issues down the road, and even avert a devastating fracture in our society. The problem I'm referring to is the two-party system. The issue with the two-party system is that it creates a you're with us or against us mentality, which means there are only two sides of the argument to choose from. This is problematic because it instigates petty conflict between politics.
Hillary is the one who set up the illegal private email server to shield her criminal activity.
No wonder he's gone to work for Trump, the only presidential candidate ever to get into a public feud with the Pope.
So she got the answers, cheating. She got the questions, cheating.
His latest paranoid fever dream is about my health. And all I can say is, Donald, dream on.
Silly squabbling like this kills productivity and creates gaps in our society. As Michael Coblentz once said in one of his articles in The Hill, each side is more extreme, and each faces their political agenda on demonizing the other side. These gaps may not provoke too much thought at first, but when you look at it from a historical context, America has seen similar gaps before, gaps that caused an entire war. I'm of course referring to the Civil War. The Civil War was basically fought over the disagreement on slavery, and while I believe that slavery is a great evil that is very much worth fighting against, if the people at that time were able to come to an agreement, all that bloodshed would have been prevented. Disagreements like these still exist today. This isn't only an issue in America. Look at Korea. They've been divided since the Korean War, which is still technically going on today. Why exactly did the Korean War start? Long story short, North Korea wanted communism and South Korea didn't. Yet another issue that people couldn't come to agree upon. So how exactly can America avoid becoming divided just like Korea? How can we come to that agreement? It's simple. Introduce more parties. There are plenty of different parties with different perspectives, yet we rarely ever hear about them. And why is that exactly? Well, to quote Coblentz once again, the media, meaning news sources from Fox News to the New York Times and everything in between, seem largely incapable of dealing with any issue outside of the liberal versus conservative paradigm. Whether it's dealing with ISIS, the debt ceiling, or climate change, the media frames every issue as a simple debate between Democratic and Republican positions. This creates the ludicrous idea that every public policy has two and only two approaches. I couldn't agree more. There is more than two approaches to these issues that many parties provide. The centrist party is a middle ground between the two main parties we know today and believes in taking more radical or immediate action on their beliefs. The moderate party is very similar to the centrist party in that they are middle ground between Democrats and Republicans, but they differ in their belief that change should be more gradual and take time. Libertarians believe in individual freedom and believe that government should play as small a role as possible in their lives. All these different parties give people more options to choose from when making decisions and voting on things that can have an important impact on their lives. Yet today it seems like there is really only two options, left-wing or right, liberal or conservative, Democrat or Republican, blue or red. And here's the thing, only 29% of America is liberal, and 26% is conservative, yet America still has a two-party system. Now there are some people who are against the idea of giving these other parties a chance to get their names out there, such as Robert Gabelhoff from the Washington Post. Robert argues that the reason America has a two-party system is because the two parties have established authority, which gives them a better working relationship with Congress. And while this argument is very valid, it ignores the fact that the two-party system doesn't guarantee productivity in Congress either. While Obama was in office, he wasn't able to get too much done with Congress, because Congress is currently Republican and Obama is more Democratic. And yes, the two-party system does have a couple of advantages going for it, such as making it easier for people to understand the political philosophies and beliefs of the parties and keeping focus on problems in broader terms. However, a multi-party system can also possess these advantages. Third parties can easily sell their beliefs without making things sound complicated. For example, the Libertarian Party can say, "We are the Libertarian Party. We believe that you should live the life you want to live, and that it shouldn't be impacted by government or politics. We tend to be pro-choice, and not just talking about abortion, but everything in your life in general. Whatever makes you happy, you should choose it, and the government should not interfere." See, that was pretty easy to understand now, wasn't it? So yeah, the two-party system does have its advantages, but the multi-party system can have those same advantages and advantages that the two-party system doesn't have. So what exactly can we do to get a multi-party system? Or at least a system where all these other parties get representation? President Trump and legislature can give all the other parties a chance in the spotlight by giving them more funding and advertising. People don't know about these parties because they're rarely given the chance to speak up. If these parties were able to put themselves out there, then things like presidential elections wouldn't have only 2 options on the ballot, and they actually already do have more than 2. It's just that everybody refers to a third-party candidate as that one other guy. But it would be different. People would actually have a chance to know who exactly that one other guy is, and what he or she believes in. And to quickly go back to the previous argument from Jebelhoff, third parties can also work within the parties we already have. Yes, I agree with this statement he makes. Throughout this article, Jebelhoff was mainly addressing the Libertarian Party. And he was saying that they could identify themselves under one of these parties, yet still pursue the same political agenda that their original party had. Jebelhoff then goes on to say, I suspect purists in the Libertarian Party will wave off these arguments as selling out to the establishment. That's fine, because it is selling out to the establishment. I only bring up this point because I highly doubt Trump and legislature will actually do much about the two-party system this year. But this is what third-party politicians can do. Even though I disagree with Jebelhoff over the topic of a multi-party system, these parties can still play by the rules of the two-party system and get their voices out there. And sure, this will still look like an argument between Republicans and Democrats on the outside, but these third parties will still be able to give input on the issues we face today. So, if Trump can't give your third party the spotlight they deserve, then politicians can still take advantage of this flawed system our society does have. And with that, I can only say go out there and let your third party beliefs be heard. Thanks for watching.